The sprawling campus of Ridgefield Academy buzzed with excitement as the school announced its annual fundraising gala. For decades, this event had been a cornerstone of Ridgefield's reputation, a glittering night where the crème de la crème of society gathered to showcase their generosity. Parents of students, many CEOs, celebrities, and legacy families competed for attention with extravagant donations, knowing their names would be etched into the school's elite donor wall. Dr. Margaret Collins, the school's principal, saw the gala as her personal stage. Dressed impeccably and armed with a rehearsed smile, she relished the opportunity to mingle with wealthy benefactors, her sharp wit often masked by an air of polished professionalism. But those who worked under her knew the truth. Dr. Collins was a gatekeeper, fiercely protective of the school's exclusivity and traditional values. She maintained a strict hierarchy, ensuring that only those she deemed worthy received recognition. When Elon Musk's name appeared on the guest list, her meticulously crafted plans hit a snag. While his children had recently joined the school, their low-profile presence had barely registered on her radar. To her, Elon was a wild card, a billionaire, yes, but not one of their kind. He lacked the blue-blooded pedigree she valued and brought an uncomfortable amount of public attention wherever he went. "Why is he coming?" she muttered under her breath during a staff meeting. "This is an event for patrons of refinement, not tech showmen." Her assistant shifted awkwardly, but said nothing. The truth was, Elon Musk had agreed to attend out of respect for his children, who had spoken fondly of their experiences at Ridgefield. Despite his fame, Elon preferred to keep a low profile when it came to family matters. The gala wasn't an opportunity for him to bask in the limelight. It was a chance to support the school his children loved. As invitations went out, parents buzzed about Elon's rumored attendance. Some were excited, envisioning selfies with the enigmatic innovator. Others whispered skepticism about his fit within Ridgefield's lofty circles. Dr. Collins, however, had no intention of letting the night turn into a Musk spectacle. She began crafting a plan to ensure that this uninvited disruption wouldn't overshadow her carefully curated evening. Dr. Collins sat in her corner office, her manicured fingers tapping rhythmically on her mahogany desk. The gala's seating chart sprawled before her, a puzzle she meticulously arranged every year to reflect the hierarchy she cherished. Prominent donors occupied the center tables, where they could bask in admiration. Lesser-known but still wealthy parents flanked the edges. Elon Musk's name sat glaringly on the list for Table 3, front and center. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "No," she muttered, dragging his name to a far corner of the spreadsheet. Table 17, near the kitchen. It was the quietest, least visible spot in the room, perfect for keeping him out of the spotlight. To Dr. Collins, Elon Musk was a problem. His unconventional methods and public persona clashed with the old money sensibilities Ridgefield embodied. She considered him a parvenu, someone who stumbled into wealth and fame without earning the cultural refinement she believed was essential. She loathed the idea of other parents fawning over him, or worse, shifting attention away from her role as the architect of the gala's success. "People like him thrive on attention," she told her assistant as they finalized the details. "We'll give him none." Unbeknownst to Dr. Collins, her disdain didn't go unnoticed. Two teachers in the hallway overheard her scathing remarks. "Musk is just a billionaire with a knack for headlines," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. "This is a school, not a rocket launch." The teachers exchanged glances. While they wouldn't dare voice dissent, they couldn't help but feel the sting of her arrogance. One whispered to the other, "Why does she care so much? He's a parent just like the rest." As the gala approached, word of Dr. Collins's deliberate snub spread quietly among the staff. A few even speculated whether Elon would notice or care about being relegated to the background. But those who knew him understood one thing. Elon Musk didn't seek the spotlight, but he also wouldn't let himself be dismissed so easily. When the seating chart was finalized, Dr. Collins smirked with satisfaction. The evening, she thought, was still hers to control. Little did she realize, her carefully orchestrated maneuver would set the stage for a reckoning she could never have predicted. The night of the gala had arrived, and Ridgefield Academy sparkled under the glow of string lights and chandeliers. Parents dressed in designer suits and elegant gowns streamed through the grand entrance, exchanging air kisses and compliments as they made their way to the main hall. Among the crowd was Elon Musk, stepping out of a modest sedan in his usual understated style. Clad in a simple black suit with no tie, he moved with the quiet ease of someone accustomed to blending in. As Elon entered the hall, heads turned, not because he commanded attention, but because his presence was unmistakable. Whispers rippled through the room. Some parents nudged their spouses, pointing discreetly in his direction. "Is that Elon Musk?" one mother asked, clutching her champagne glass a little tighter. "I heard he was coming," her husband replied. "Never thought he'd actually show." Elon greeted the host with a polite smile and gave a small nod as she directed him toward table 17. He glanced at the seating chart briefly, his sharp mind registering the placement immediately, but he didn't react. Instead, he thanked her and made his way to the table, his movements calm and deliberate. Parents continued to watch him as he passed. A few ventured over to introduce themselves, curious and excited to meet the man whose name was synonymous with innovation. Despite their gushing, Elon remained humble, asking about their children and their roles in the school community. His focus on them rather than himself seemed to put them at ease. At table 17, Elon sat down and surveyed the room. From his position near the kitchen doors, he had a clear view of the stage but was well removed from the more prominent tables. Waitstaff brushed past him frequently, balancing trays and exchanging hurried instructions. He didn't seem to mind, sipping his water and chatting with the parents nearby, who quickly warmed to his unpretentious demeanor. Meanwhile, Dr. Collins observed the scene from across the room, her lips tightening. She had hoped Elon would sulk or at least look uncomfortable in his tucked-away spot, but instead, he seemed perfectly content. Worse, parents who normally vied for her attention were now drifting toward him, their curiosity outweighing their reverence for her authority. "He's drawing a crowd," one of her aides murmured nervously. Dr. Collins waved it off. "It won't last," she said. "People like him always overstay their welcome." Little did she know, Elon's quiet arrival was just the beginning. As the gala reached its peak, Dr. Collins stepped onto the stage to deliver her opening remarks. The room hushed as the spotlight found her, her presence commanding but laced with a hint of self-importance. Dressed in a sleek navy gown, she gripped the podium and began with a practiced smile. "Good evening, everyone," she said, her voice ringing out over the hall. "Tonight, we gather not just as parents, but as stewards of tradition, excellence, and the values that have made Ridgefield Academy a beacon of education." The audience applauded lightly, though a few parents exchanged knowing glances. Dr. Collins always enjoyed reminding them of her role in shaping the school's success. As her speech continued, her tone shifted. In a world that often prioritizes flashy gimmicks over substance, it's more important than ever to uphold the values of a classical education. Ridgefield is not swayed by trends or shallow innovation. We don't need rockets or gadgets to teach critical thinking. Several parents stiffened in their seats, sensing where this was going. Others chuckled awkwardly, their eyes flicking toward table 17, where Elon sat listening with an expression of polite interest. He showed no sign of irritation, though a flicker of amusement crossed his face. Dr. Collins pressed on, emboldened by the smattering of laughter. "True education," she declared, "is about cultivating character and intellect, not chasing fame or fortune. It's about substance over spectacle." The room grew quieter, the tension thickening. Parents who had previously found her remarks amusing now felt a growing discomfort. It was clear that her comments, though veiled, were aimed squarely at Elon Musk. At table 17, Elon remained composed, his hands folded lightly in his lap. He exchanged a glance with the father seated next to him, who looked mortified. "She's not subtle," the man muttered under his breath. Elon chuckled softly, shaking his head. As Dr. Collins concluded her speech with a flourish, the applause was polite but subdued. She stepped off the stage with a triumphant air, oblivious to the ripple of unease her words had caused. Elon, for his part, simply clapped along with the others, his calm demeanor unshaken. Parents around the room exchanged whispers, some voicing their discomfort aloud. "Was that really necessary?" one mother asked. She practically called him out by name. Dr. Collins, basking in her perceived victory, had no idea that her attempt to humiliate Elon Musk would soon backfire in ways she couldn't imagine. The gala was in full swing, with glasses clinking and waitstaff weaving through the crowd with trays of hors d'oeuvres. Conversations buzzed around the room, yet an undercurrent of tension lingered from Dr. Collins' opening remarks. Elon Musk remained at his seat, smiling politely and engaging in light conversation with the parents near him, but many sensed an unspoken friction between him and the principal. As the evening progressed, several parents approached Elon, expressing admiration for his work. A few asked questions about Tesla's sustainability efforts or SpaceX's advancements. Elon answered with his characteristic mix of passion and humility, redirecting the spotlight to the broader impact of technology and education. One parent, visibly intrigued, asked, "Have you ever considered collaborating with Ridgefield to integrate more STEM programs? The kids would benefit so much." Elon's face lit up. "That's exactly what I was thinking. I'd love to explore opportunities to bring more hands-on learning to the school. Robotics, coding, maybe even space science workshops. It's about giving them the tools to innovate." Hearing this, another parent encouraged Elon to share his ideas with the larger group. "You should speak tonight," she said. "I bet everyone would be thrilled to hear what you have in mind." Encouraged, Elon approached a staff member to relay his request to Dr. Collins. The staffer hesitated, knowing the principal's temperament, but dutifully passed the message along. Dr. Collins, who was overseeing the silent auction, barely looked up when informed. "Speak? At my gala? Absolutely not," she said with a dismissive wave. "This event isn't about self-promotion." The staffer tried to explain Elon's intent, but Dr. Collins cut him off. "We're not turning this into a TED Talk," she snapped. "We have a program, and we're sticking to it." Minutes later, during a lull in the event, Dr. Collins took the stage again. In a tone dripping with condescension, she addressed the audience. "While we celebrate the many contributions of all our parents, let's remember that Ridgefield prides itself on cultivating intellect through classical education, literature, history, and the arts. Technology has its place, but we don't need to chase every shiny object to prepare our students for greatness." Though she didn't name Elon directly, her meaning was clear. The subtle glances and awkward coughs in the audience spoke volumes. Elon remained seated, his expression unreadable, but the parents around him squirmed, embarrassed on his behalf. Dr. Collins stepped off the stage with a self-satisfied smile, certain she had maintained control of the narrative, but the growing discomfort in the room hinted at an impending shift in the evening's tone. After her second speech, Dr. Collins strolled through the room, accepting compliments and congratulatory remarks with practiced grace. But as she neared the back of the hall, she found Elon Musk standing in her path. His demeanor was calm, his hands clasped lightly in front of him. "Dr. Collins," he began, his voice steady, "may I have a word?" Caught off guard, she hesitated before nodding. "Of course," she replied curtly. She followed him to a quieter corner of the room, away from the buzz of conversation. "I wanted to talk to you about something that could benefit the school," Elon said. "I'm prepared to make a significant donation to Ridgefield, enough to fund a state-of-the-art STEM lab and a series of programs that could introduce students to robotics, renewable energy, and advanced sciences." Dr. Collins raised an eyebrow, folding her arms across her chest. "While I appreciate the gesture, Mr. Musk, Ridgefield doesn't need to follow every modern trend to remain competitive. Our focus is on classical education, foundations that have stood the test of time." Elon's expression didn't waver. "It's not about trends. It's about equipping students for the future. Innovation isn't the enemy of tradition. It's the evolution of it." But Dr. Collins was unmoved. "If you truly wish to support education, perhaps your resources would be better spent elsewhere. Ridgefield thrives because we don't dilute our values with every new idea." Elon nodded slowly, his face thoughtful. "I see," he said simply. "Thank you for your time." He returned to his table without further comment, but his mind was already racing. If Dr. Collins refused to embrace progress, he wouldn't let that stop him from supporting the students who deserved more opportunities. As he sat down, he began speaking quietly with the parents around him, gauging their thoughts on STEM initiatives and the needs of the school. To his surprise, many expressed frustration with the school's resistance to innovation. "She's too set in her ways," one mother said. "We've been pushing for better science programs for years." Another parent chimed in. "The kids are missing out. If someone like you is willing to help, we'd support it completely." By the end of the evening, Elon had formed an unofficial coalition of parents eager to see change. Together, they began discussing ways to fund and implement new programs, with or without the school administration's backing. Elon's quiet determination had set the wheels in motion, and though Dr. Collins was oblivious to it, her grip on the school's future was beginning to loosen. The Gala, once a shimmering display of opulence and tradition, now felt charged with quiet rebellion. After Dr. Collins dismissed Elon Musk's proposal, whispers spread through the room. The parents, who had grown increasingly discontented with her rigid leadership, found themselves gravitating toward Elon, intrigued by his humility and inspired by his vision for the school's future. At table 17, Elon sat with a small but growing circle of parents. What began as a casual conversation about education had evolved into a passionate discussion about the school's shortcomings and potential. "It's not that we don't value tradition," one father said, gesturing with his wine glass, "but it's 2024. The world is changing, and our kids need to be prepared for what's ahead." A mother seated nearby nodded in agreement. "Dr. Collins seems so focused on preserving the past that she's ignoring the future. My son has been asking for more STEM classes, but the administration just brushes it off." Elon listened intently, his hands resting on the table as he absorbed their concerns. "It's not about replacing tradition," he said, his voice calm but resolute. "It's about complementing it, giving students the tools they need to navigate the challenges of tomorrow while respecting the foundations they've built upon." The parents exchanged glances, their admiration for Elon growing. He wasn't just a billionaire dropping buzzwords about technology. He genuinely cared about their children's education. His sincerity was undeniable, and his ability to articulate a vision for the school resonated deeply. By now, the group had expanded, drawing parents from other tables who had overheard snippets of the conversation. One mother leaned forward, her expression earnest. "If the administration won't listen, why not fund these programs directly? With your support, we could create something extraordinary." Elon smiled thoughtfully. "If that's what the school community wants, I'd be honored to help. But it can't just be me. It has to be a collective effort. Parents, teachers, and students all working together." The group murmured in agreement, the energy around the table growing electric. What had started as frustration with Dr. Collins had transformed into a movement for change, fueled by Elon's quiet determination. By the time dessert was served, the mood of the gala had shifted. The room no longer revolved around Dr. Collins's carefully orchestrated plans. Instead, it was alive with conversations about possibility, driven by the parents who had rallied around Elon and his vision for a brighter future. As the evening wound down and guests began gathering near the stage for the final announcements, Dr. Collins stepped back to the microphone, her confidence restored. She had no idea of the discussions brewing behind her or the momentum Elon Musk had quietly built among the parents. "Thank you all for your generous contributions tonight," she began, her voice smooth and practiced. "Ridgefield Academy thrives because of your unwavering support. Together, we'll continue to uphold the traditions that make this school exceptional." Before she could continue, a hand was raised at the back of the room. Elon Musk stood, his calm presence commanding attention. The room fell silent as all eyes turned toward him. "If I may," he said, his voice carrying easily over the crowd, "I'd like to say a few words." Dr. Collins froze, the microphone clutched tightly in her hand. She hesitated for a split second, then plastered on a smile. "Of course, Mr. Musk," she said, stepping aside. The polite applause that followed felt charged with anticipation. Elon approached the stage with unhurried grace, his unassuming demeanor belying the weight of what he was about to say. He stood at the podium, scanning the room with a warm, genuine smile. "I want to start by thanking Ridgefield Academy for providing my children with an incredible education," he began. "This school has a legacy to be proud of, and I'm grateful to be a part of this community." The audience leaned in, captivated. "But tonight, I've heard from many of you about the opportunities we might be missing," he continued. "Our world is evolving at an unprecedented pace. Technology, sustainability, and innovation are no longer optional, they're essential. And as parents, it's our responsibility to ensure that our children are equipped to lead in this new world." He paused, letting his words sink in. Dr. Collins shifted uncomfortably behind him, her composure beginning to crack. "That's why," Elon said, his voice steady, "I'm proud to announce a donation of $1.5 million to Ridgefield Academy to create a state-of-the-art STEM lab. This facility will provide our students with the tools and resources they need to explore robotics, coding, renewable energy, and beyond. It's an investment in their future, a future that belongs to them." The room erupted into applause, cheers echoing off the high ceilings. Parents rose to their feet, clapping and cheering as the magnitude of the donation sank in. Elon stepped back, nodding humbly, while the crowd's enthusiasm surged. Dr. Collins, standing off to the side, looked visibly flustered. Her carefully curated narrative of the evening had been upended, the spotlight now firmly on Elon and his vision for the school. When the applause finally subsided, Elon addressed the audience again. "This isn't just about money," he said. "It's about collaboration. I hope this inspires all of us to think about how we can work together to give our children the best possible education. Thank you." He stepped off the stage to a standing ovation, parents surrounding him with gratitude and admiration. Dr. Collins, left to the shadows, could only watch as the narrative she had tried so hard to control slipped completely out of her grasp. The events of the gala reverberated far beyond the elegant halls of Ridgefield Academy. Parents buzzed with excitement about Elon Musk's generous donation, while whispers of Dr. Collins' behavior spread like wildfire. Social media posts from attendees painted a vivid picture of the evening, highlighting Elon's humility and vision alongside the principal's dismissive remarks. By Monday morning, the school board was inundated with emails and calls from concerned parents. Many praised Elon's contributions and questioned why the school's administration had resisted innovation for so long. Others expressed outright dissatisfaction with Dr. Collins' leadership, accusing her of fostering an elitist culture that stifled progress. "Her attitude at the gala was unacceptable," one parent wrote. "She doesn't represent the values we want to instill in our children." Under mounting pressure, the board called an emergency meeting to discuss the matter. Over the next few days, a pattern of complaints emerged. Teachers and staff came forward with stories of Dr. Collins' rigid policies and her tendency to prioritize appearances over substance. Former employees shared anecdotes about her dismissive treatment of progressive ideas, including proposals for STEM programs that had been shelved without serious consideration. "She's always been more focused on maintaining tradition than preparing students for the future," one teacher confided anonymously. "It's frustrating because so many of us want to do more for the kids." As the inquiry deepened, rumors swirled that Dr. Collins's position was at risk. Parents discussed the possibility of new leadership, with many advocating for a principal who valued collaboration and inclusivity. "She's out of touch," a parent said during a meeting with the board. "We need someone who listens to the community and embraces the challenges of the modern world." Dr. Collins, aware of the growing unrest, tried to regain control. She issued a carefully worded statement to the school community, emphasizing her commitment to Ridgefield's time-honored values. But her efforts only fueled the perception that she was unwilling to adapt. Behind the scenes, the board deliberated. The tide had turned decisively against Dr. Collins, and they knew it. Her future at Ridgefield was no longer a question of if, but when. A month after the gala, Ridgefield Academy announced a leadership change. In a letter to parents and staff, the board confirmed that Dr. Collins had stepped down as principal, effective immediately. The message was diplomatic, thanking her for her years of service, but it was clear that her departure had been inevitable. The news was met with mixed reactions. While some of Dr. Collins's staunchest supporters expressed regret, the overwhelming majority of the school community welcomed the change. The board introduced the new principal, Dr. Maria Reynolds, an educator with a reputation for fostering collaboration and embracing innovation. Dr. Reynolds wasted no time setting a new tone. She met with parents, teachers, and students to hear their ideas and concerns, emphasizing her commitment to making Ridgefield a leader in both tradition and progress. One of her first acts was to fast-track the plans for the STEM lab funded by Elon Musk's donation. When the lab was completed, the school hosted a grand opening ceremony. The state-of-the-art facility featured robotic stations, 3D printers, coding workspaces, and a renewable energy demonstration area. The event drew a crowd of parents, students, and media eager to see the transformation. Elon Musk was the guest of honor, standing at the forefront as Dr. Reynolds cut the ceremonial ribbon. The crowd erupted into applause, their enthusiasm filling the air with hope and excitement. After the ribbon cutting, Elon took the stage to address the community. He stood behind the podium, his voice calm but full of passion. "Education is the foundation of our future," he began. "It's where we nurture curiosity, creativity, and the courage to face the unknown. This lab isn't just about technology. It's about giving our children the opportunity to explore, to dream, and to innovate." He paused, scanning the audience. "Change isn't always easy. It challenges us, pushes us out of our comfort zones. But it's through change that we grow. This school has an incredible legacy, and I believe its best days are still ahead." The audience gave him a standing ovation, parents and students alike inspired by his words. For many, it was a moment of clarity, a reminder of what education should strive to achieve. As the ceremony concluded, students eagerly explored the new lab, their faces lighting up with excitement as they tested robotics kits and coded their first programs. Teachers beamed with pride, already envisioning the opportunities this space would create. For Ridgefield Academy, the STEM lab symbolized more than just a physical addition. It was a turning point. Under Dr. Reynolds' leadership and inspired by Elon Musk's vision, the school began a new chapter, one that embraced both tradition and innovation. And for Elon, the moment wasn't about vindication, but about impact. As he watched the students explore their new space, he felt a quiet satisfaction. He had planted a seed of progress, one that would grow for years to come, shaping the minds of future leaders and dreamers. Want to hear more of this? Then click on the video on the right-hand side, which is even crazier.